Hey, good evening and welcome to Demetrius Johnson off the line with the big fella. I am happy to have on tonight, folks, a guy that I truly respect. I have much respect for this man, and he's done a lot of stuff in the city of St. Louis. He continued to work in the city of St. Louis. He's running for the mayor seat of the city of St. Louis.
Yes.
Sometimes I want to ask people, why would you run for that seat with all the pressure that's going to be on you? However, it takes a different kind of person to set up and do those things. So, folks, I am happy and I'm enlightened and I'm really honored that he took time out of his schedule to come on. And let me just make this clear to everyone. I'll say this periodically. I've offered the other candidates an opportunity to come on. Right now, board president, automatic board president Lewis Reed is the one who wanted to come on and he wanted to be a part of addressing any questions or any comments I have. So, Mr. Reed, I haven't called you Mr. Reed in a long time, buddy.
Yeah, how you doing, DJ?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me on. It's the DJ offline online show. So
yeah, exactly. Well, let me tell you why I wanted to have you on. I mean, I think we got 48 hours before folks gonna get out here and start voting. I wanted them to get an in-depth, behind-the-scene conversation with you and anyone else who's running who joined me. And I think sometimes that personal persona or your business persona is mixed to the two, which they're two different personas. Mm-hmm. But you could be the same person with different things.
Oh yeah.
So what my goal is today is to have a good, candid conversation with you about your theories, your thoughts, and let folks have an opportunity to measure you and see who Lewis Reed is. Because a lot of times when you out there on the campaign chair, which you're still campaigning tonight, you're still doing it, people don't really know who Lewis Reed is. So I'm going to start off by asking you, give everybody the background, who is Lewis Reed?
Well, I'd start by saying I'm a father of four, and very proud father of four. And a person that loves his family and community. I'm a very spiritual person. And then grew up in Joliet, Illinois. Wrestled from the time I was in 5th grade all the way up through college, and had some very tough trials and tribulations along the way, and managed to use those things to just get stronger, right? Life isn't supposed to be easy, right? We want it to be, but we should not expect it to be. From a big family, one of 9 kids, got an opportunity to run for office, and I was in private business, and I decided to run for office because I wanted to get involved in public service. So I ran for alderman of the 6th Ward, which is a Central Corridor ward, first African-American ever elected there. And then in that first 7 years, we did $1.7 billion in new development, turned the ward around. It was the fastest growing ward in the city in population and new business startups. And I know we can do that for the whole city. Also on the personal side, I'm a motorcycle rider. Grew up racing dirt bikes.
Wow.
Yeah, grew up racing dirt bikes, and I still ride quite often. I do a big trip by myself every year, like to South Dakota, up to DC, New York, places like that, Florida. So, and I enjoy that time, just, leave, plan the first stop, and from there I just make it up along the way, just kind of enjoy time out. Wow. And I skateboard too. People don't know that. Wow. You'll appreciate this, DJ. You know why I skateboard? Because when we were little, roller skating was huge when we were little. But there were 9 of us kids.
Right.
So we were all like, Mama, can we have roller skates? She's like, no, she got us one skateboard and said, all of y'all share.
I know that's right. I remember those days.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah,
wow.
so I still skateboard today. So
Wow.
yeah,
I mean, I know you always look like you're in some shape when I see you. You ain't look like you gained no weight anytime I see you there. And I want to tell you, I do hate on you when I see that because
no,
because
I
I
hate
gain
on you.
yeah,
You're on
'cause-
muscle. See, I'm,
yeah, because I'll gain weight in a heartbeat. You don't ever gain weight. So let's get down to this, man. Get out of business. Louis Reed, why do you want to be the mayor of the city of St. Louis? I mean, think about it. That's really a thankless job. Nobody really appreciate a lot of stuff. Why would you? And you got a city that's in turmoil. Murder rates are off the charts. I mean, job unemployment is bad. Why would you want to take on a job like that?
DJ. My wife.
I can hardly hear you now.
Hey, yeah. Hey,
Hey,
DJ.
hey, Louis, you're going in and out for me.
Can you hear me now?
No, you got to get closer to me. We're losing you.
Can you hear me now?
I think I'm losing you. Okay, I had it. Try it again.
Can you hear me now? Hold on a second. Let me adjust.
Something going on with your mic.
Let me adjust my mic.
Folks, we have an opportunity. Can't hear you now.
Can you hear me?
It's going in and out.
Let me see.
Oh, had it. We lost it.
What about now?
Hold on, guys.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on a second. Louis, we're having a little technical difficulty.
Hold on a second. What about now?
Very little.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, can you hear them?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, they can hear you. Go ahead, Louis.
All right.
I can barely hear you, but go ahead.
All right. So, DJ, I think about when I went into public service. I was making a lot of money, really doing well in corporate, in the corporate world, but I wanted to be in public service, and that's what I talked to my wife about. I said, I want to be full time in public service because I want to dedicate part of my life to helping someone. And when you look at all the challenges that our young people are under, and you think about like your childhood and what you had to live through, I think about the time I was homeless, right, and some of those things, and what it took to make it through that. And I think about my brother when he was shot and killed, and praying by his hospital bed. And I don't want any other family, anybody else, having to live through those things. And I want to be part of providing, a better world and some safety and comfort for families. So that's why I do it. And look, out of everybody in this race, I understand completely what it means to be the mayor of the city of St. Louis because I've had a front row seat to it for longer than anybody in the history of the city. I'll tell you what it's like. It's like watching a movie, right? And you see a person sneaking up behind someone and you want to tell them about it, but you can't because it's happening. It's just outside of your reach. And that's what it's like being the president of the board of aldermen and watching things go down in that mayor's office because you're part of the legislative branch, and you don't have the powers directly to totally change the executive branch. But as mayor, you do.
So, Louis, the violence in our community that's out of control. I mean, and you have people, you have companies that are saying, we don't want to move to St. Louis. We're going to move our company out of St. Louis. We can't get violence under control. Talk about what are you doing? What have you done? And what you're going to continue to try to get done?
Well, DJ, you're right. The violent crime is the number one issue facing us as a city. And the next mayor is going to have to do a couple things. Number one, they're going to have to own it and acknowledge the fact that we have a problem with violent crime. And then they're going to have to implement some things to address it directly. There are several different phases to this. You have to first have some programs and services in place to get out in front of the issue. So that's why we put in place Cure Violence. It's a service delivery mechanism. It works directly with families and people within our community to address the root causes of crime and begin to deter it before it happens, right? And it just started, so we're going to see the growth of that as time goes on. We also need to have programs and services in place like our rec centers and things of that nature, so that we have things within the community for our youth to do, like your center, right? So your center should receive various funding like that for centers and places like that throughout the city, so our kids have productive things to do when they're young. Then we have to have an effective policing force that is well trained, that can respond appropriately. We now have cops and clinicians in place, so that 911 calls are triaged. So if it's best for a clinician to respond, they respond. If it's best for a police officer to respond, they respond. Then on the investigative side, on the back end, that's where the rubber really meets the road when we look at the murders in our city. On an average year, we only close on about 30% of the murder cases in our city, which is shocking, which means that 70% of the people who have murdered somebody year over year, they've been able to do it with absolute impunity. So we're going to have to utilize every available resource, state, federal, and local, to bring these folks to justice, to assure that if you murder someone in the city, we're not going to allow it to become yesterday's news, like the 7-year-old girl that was shot. A student had just finished baking with her grandmother, wanted to open up a bakery when she grew up. Her life was snuffed out. The person who murdered her, they need to stand trial, and they need justice to be done. And the reason why, think about the families that are torn apart, right? I think about my brother's murderer. We never found him. And we can't allow those things to happen.
With that in mind, you talk about the cure violence that you was the one implemented to come into St. Louis, and you're talking about murder crimes and not being resolved. What kind of relationship are you building with the prosecuting attorney and the police department to get everybody in unison? What is your approach on working those guys all in together?
Well, here, DJ, there are 28 members of the Board of Aldermen representing various different corners of the city with very, very diverse opinions, right? And really, really hardworking, intelligent, and dedicated people to their community. And they are passionate about their beliefs, rightfully so, which makes them good legislators. But my job is to also build bridges, find commonality, and work so that we can achieve the goals that we're after. So bringing people together and working across difference as president of the Board of Aldermen with 28 members of the board. And I certainly will be able to do it between the prosecutors, the police department, and also the court system. It is absolutely vital that we all work together as one cohesive unit. And under my leadership, we will do that, because it's a natural course of action for just the way I operate.
So when I hear people who's running, other people running, they talk about focused deterrence. Are they the same? Are they different? I don't know the difference between those two. What does that mean?
No, we looked when before settling on cure violence. We looked at all of them. We looked group violence intervention, focused deterrence. We looked at all of them. Over the years that we were reviewing these, focused deterrence would be a really, really bad solution for the city of St. Louis. What it does, it unfairly focuses its attention on areas that have already had already suffered from racist program or that unfairly targets young African American males. Here's part of what they would do in focused deterrence. In focused deterrence, if they were after someone, right, and they wanted to get their attention, they would do things like go get the family's names, escalate it to the top of the list for the utility companies, so that utility companies would shut their power off. They do things like work to, just put a lot of pressure in and on that family. But the problem is that the people around the person that they're trying to get their attention, everybody around that person ends up being affected by it, right? So they found that the program has not been fair to African Americans at large and has not been very effective.
With all that in terms of the violence and trying to bring everything together, the key component is jobs. How do we get jobs and get these young folks and the people in the community, the inner city of St. Louis, to feel good about getting an opportunity? That cures a lot. Jobs and employment. What is your focus, and how would you create that kind of opportunity with jobs?
No, DJ, you're right about that. And look, I'm going to throw some numbers out here, but I know you already know them. But for the people who are listening, so DJ, think about it. When the city's unemployment rate is sitting around 5%, 5-6%, the unemployment rate amongst young African American males is what, over 20%. And then we see it. Then people say, well, why don't they just do better? Why don't they just put down the pistols and all this stuff? Well, we have to work to not just put opportunities in place for them, but reach out and touch them and connect them to those opportunities and nurture them along the way so that they get in that pipeline and they begin to move up and grow. But to do that, we're going to have to create the jobs. That's why I worked to assure that Scott Trade Center was renovated, so that through that renovation, we were able to get people jobs that turned into careers that they didn't have an opportunity for before. That's why we worked to ensure that we had a soccer stadium being built in downtown. And people are saying, why are we doing that? And at the same time, they say, why are we doing that? They say, well, we need to do something to help get our arms around this crime issue. You cannot do it without an economy that's on the move. So I'm going to be bold about getting our economy moving. I'm going to be bold about opening up opportunities for people who have long been left out of the equation. We have to do that because that lifts everyone up, right? Right now, the crime rate in our city is affecting everyone. When we put people to work and get them involved in more productive activities, that's going to affect everyone also, but in a positive way.
When you talk about bringing the jobs, and that's a great vision. What do you have in place to make sure the young folks feel comfortable about being able to talk to you and feel that they can relate to a black man who's trying to uplift them? What would you say to the young guy who's listening and watching us now? What would you say to him?
I'd say, look, I was once a young guy too. I was once a young guy that they had counted out, left behind, and said, "Hey, but people believed in me, and they kept working with me and kept me connected." So that's why I know that their lives can change, and I want them to know that that I know that they have greatness locked up in them, and I know that we can unlock that greatness if given an opportunity to do it. But all of that being said, DJ, me and you may not always be the right vehicle to talk to them. It may be some of the young folks that are in the Urban League that can reach them better. It may be some of the folks that are part of Cure Violence that can reach them better. It may be some of the young outreach coordinators through the city or through our public school system that may be able to reach them, or nonprofits that can reach them better. Whatever means that are out there that are available, we need to leverage every single last one of them to assure that we actually reach them, touch them, and connect them. And that connector piece is really important, because you always hear people talk about job creation, and they'll say, there are jobs out there. Why don't these kids go get a job? I see help wanted ads all the time. I said, because you're talking a different language. We have to reach them. We have to have a service delivery mechanism to connect to them, reach them, and then get them connected to the opportunity and show them that there's a better way, and that yes, indeed, you can achieve this also. This can be your life.
Well, Louis, I hear that one of your one of the candidates is wanting to put a strip club downtown. What is your thought on a strip club being put downtown in St. Louis?
Look, I have a lot of plans for economic development, but my plans for economic development does not include strip clubs, and it does not include legalizing prostitution, right? Those things, I think that the city of St. Louis, we have enough challenges already on the horizon. The last thing we need to do is go down that road also. I think that that would be a very, very bad move for the city. We know that young women are exploited daily across this nation, and the last thing we need to do is make it easier.
Uh, Louis, they talk about this bill that you first passed a bill to close the workhouse,
Yeah.
and now you're saying you don't want the workhouse closed. Where are you with that? I mean,
Oh, thank
is it one or the other, other one? Which one is it?
All right. So when we thanks for that question, DJ. So when we introduced the bill to close the workhouse, it was earlier part of last summer, and when we passed it, it was in July, somewhere in July. But this has been a long-term engagement for myself and some aldermen that have been there for a while. I started working on workhouse issues, 10 years ago or whatever. And we worked to get air conditioning in there and all sorts of things, right? Um, and we've also worked to change some of the laws that were keeping people locked, were getting people locked up, like small possessions of marijuana. We made that a municipal violation so that then it wouldn't be something that hung on their record, and it wouldn't be something that they'd instantly get locked up for. That allowed the numbers in the workhouse to drop some. But now, if we look at the fact that we passed the bill, COVID virus was not going as rampant as it is now. The director of corrections said that it could not be closed because every surrounding municipality said that they needed space left open in their lockup facilities to socially distance people and to be able to treat their populations. And we have the same thing here in the city. And it would be just immoral for us to crowd people in to the Justice Center when we have the workhouse down, just in the city that we can spread them out at. And guess what the detainees said? They rioted not once, not twice, but 3 times now.
Yeah.
And they said, if you don't get, we're crowded 2 to a cell down here in an overcrowded situation, and we want to go back down to that workhouse because I don't want to catch COVID. So the detainees were very clear about what they wanted to do. So until we see an end of COVID, till we see a situation where we can house our detainees safely, because we don't decide who's locked up as the city, the courts do, right? So we are following court orders. We're just a housing facility.
A few weeks ago, we had a big uproar at the Justice Center.
Mm-hmm.
As if you was mayor, what approach would you have taken, and how do you think you would handle it?
Well, what I would have done as mayor was to thin out that population. When we had that first uprising, right, I would have kept thinning that population out. They did a good job in thinning it out some. I would have kept thinning that population out because as long as we continue to have those overcrowded situations, we're going to continue to see some of the things that we're seeing. And I would allow the COs to engage and do their job also, and assure that they had all of the resources available to do their job, and be supportive of them doing their job. I think that is very, very important. It's a very tough job, but it's one that is very, very important all at the same time.
We always talk about redeveloping in the community. Oh, we need to bring jobs and opportunities. Why do you feel, or do you feel incentives to bring developers in St. Louis is important? And if it is, why do you think that's important to incentivize people to come and build in St. Louis?
You see, part of the fallacy here is that people think that we say, "Come develop here, and we'll give you an incentive." It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't work like that, right? But I know that that's the way people look and they think about it. Generally, what happens is that a developer, let's say they're going to build I don't know, an office complex. They will decide if they're going to build an office complex in downtown, Clayton, Webster Groves, Ladue, whatever, wherever, right? So they look around to see what works better for them. And then they begin to do their financials, right? And based on the financial outlook, the income levels and various different costs to build, cost per square foot, and the value of the property on the back end, right? All of those take into account to say what is going to be required to be able to do the project. And every one of these municipalities, it'll be a little bit different because of the cost per square foot and also the ultimate value of it, location, location, location. Our high crime rate causes us a problem in the city of St. Louis because the ultimate value of the property and what they can lease the square foot for or sell the units for, it's impacted by the crime rate that's impacting our entire economy. So that sometimes causes us to have to put incentives in place, but it's based on a lot of those types of factors and whether it's financially feasible or not. And if once we get the information, it's evaluated by SLDC to see if it's valid and if the incentive is really required.
What kind of policy would you have toward the community when people want to reach out and touch you? Because sometimes they feel elected officials, aldermen and alderwomen or whatever, is untouchable. They don't want to, they can't be touched. They always have 10 layers between getting an opportunity to speak with that person. How accessible would you become and be that people can feel they can come to you and you'll be able to respond to them?
DJ, look, right now I'm sitting in the board of aldermen. Guess how many staff members I have? People would be shocked. They think I have a huge staff. I have 4 people that work for me. 4 people that work for me, right? And between me and those 4 people, we crisscross this city and we try to touch as many people as possible on a daily basis. And it is difficult to do. But from the mayor's office, where you have the resources built in to actually reach out and be able to engage more people, I would be very accessible. I look at the fact that, you look at Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a social network platform for neighborhoods. So I rolled Nextdoor out all across the city of St. Louis. So now it's in every single neighborhood in our city. And it allows neighbors to communicate amongst each other and also to communicate with the city. So I would look at ways to have regular engagements with the community so that they know what's going on in City Hall and I know what's going on in their neighborhoods and communities so that we can deploy the resource best as possible.
Well, let me ask you this. We got a couple more questions and then we'll be ending up. What experience would you bring to the mayor's office on the first day?
Well, DJ, first and foremost, I want to tell people it's really, really vitally important that they understand that being the mayor of the city of St. Louis is not a ceremonial role. And it's not a place that you go to figure out how city government works. And it's not a place where you go to figure out how the mayor's office works. You will fail, right? Because it is a complex job. It's not like other cities where you have a more mayor pro tem or something else built in that is a hired, city worker that actually runs the city. No. When you become the mayor of the city, you make those decisions. In my 13 years as president of the Board of Aldermen, 13 years on the board of E&A, East-West Gateway Coordinating Council, Airport Commission, and like, and a legislative record that is just been, great legislative record. I am prepared to take on that job day one. when we saw the savings and loan crash in 2008, where people were losing their homes left and right and cities were going bankrupt. Well, I was one of the 3 people to keep the city of St. Louis solvent and on solid ground, where we did not go bankrupt, and protected the city employees and everything all at the same time. So I've been through that. And I know how to run this city, and I know the powers that are vested in that office per the charter of the city of St. Louis. The other thing that's important to note about this role is that you must have a very, very strong relationship with the legislative branch because of the way the powers are structured in city government. Otherwise, you're going to come to a standstill. It'll be a bunch of fighting. You're not going to get anything done. And I don't think it's any secret to anybody, in city government at this point, that I have an outstanding relationship with the members of the Board of Aldermen. And it's because I work with them, right? And I work to assure that they can get the things within my powers at the board that they need to run their wards. So all of that and more makes me much more qualified than anybody else that's running for this job.
Louis Reed, I got the last question for you, and then I'm going to let you conclude on what you tell people why they should vote for you. When you talk about unifying a community that's really broken, community is broken, how have you cultivated relationships? How important is it to cultivate relationships? How important is it to have the business relationship and the normal, the common man relationship where they can feel comfortable with you and your staff? How have you been able to cultivate that over the years?
I've been able, look, everything I do is part of my DNA. Growing up one of 9 kids, my mother said, look, you respect the opinions of others and you have to learn from your mistakes and own them, even more so than your successes, right? So we had to own our failures and we had to get along with each other, right? She did not allow anything different. And when it's that kind of upbringing that I bring to the job. And the reason that's important is because it puts you in a position to understand that you don't have all the answers. And maybe other people have opinions and viewpoints that should be factored into whatever you're working on. And when I'm talking to some people that are at odds, part of what I convey to them is, I understand where you are in your position, but understand that that is not all that exists within this subject matter. And when you begin to open them up like that, you lay the groundwork to bring people together. Very, very important. So when we're looking at the divisions that exist across our city, we look at, the fact that, law enforcement and communities of color are divided all across this nation. You're going to have a mayor in that office that understands that implicitly and that will work to bridge that gap and not work to make that gap bigger, right? By automatically falling into a lot of the things that come up online, right? That is not an easy position to have. A lot of times it'll be a very unpopular position to have. But as mayor, sometimes you're going to make tough decisions and do it on behalf of people, even though sometimes the people you're doing it on behalf of, they don't believe in it, and they will never like you ever again because you've done it. But that's the price of leadership, and I'm willing to pay that price. And I think that is going to take us to a better place in our city. We're going to see population growth. We're going to see education, our kids becoming more educated. We're going to see addressing the issues of violent crime. We're going to see business growth all happen in our city. This is our time to do that.
Louis Reed, I'm going to let you tell our viewers who's listening to us, why should they vote for Louis Reed to become the next mayor of the city of St. Louis?
DJ, anytime you're doing a job interview, you want to know where a person's been, what they've done, what their experience is, and that tells you about their abilities to do the job. I invite people to go online, look up my leadership, look up go to the board, go to the city hall, look up the board bills I've adopted and passed. Look up my website, and there are links on there that they can go look to see what I've done. Like I said earlier, this office is complicated. Everything from when you turn on your tap water, you want to make sure that there's clean, drinkable water that comes through there. You know who helps make that happen? The mayor of the city of St. Louis. When you go across the bridges in the city of St. Louis, you want to make sure they don't collapse. You know who's responsible? The mayor of the city of St. Louis, right? When emergencies happen, the person that's responsible for assuring that things are in place so that the response happens appropriately, the mayor of the city of St. Louis. The budgeting so that your tax dollars are spent in a responsible way that helps you and your family and keeps your family safe. Guess who's responsible for that ultimately? The mayor of the city of St. Louis. This is not a ceremonial role. And I am uniquely qualified, competent, and capable to do the job day one. Under my leadership, you will see growth in our city. You will see population growth. You will see the crime rates go down in our city. I know 100% that we're going to do that. I've seen this city end to end. I've been in every nook and cranny of this city. And we have some great people in our city. And we can bring it together and unify as one and deliver a safer, more unified St. Louis.
Louis Reed, President of the Board of Aldermen, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you have the election this coming Tuesday.
Yeah.
We need to get out and vote this coming Tuesday. I want to thank you. You made it happen. You gave me your word. You came on and you was a man of your word with me. And sometimes that ain't really true on a lot of people. So I want to thank
Yeah.
you for coming out and being a part of letting the community know who Louis Reed is one-on-one with the big fella. Thank you so much.
And thanks
have a
for having this.
wonderful evening and good luck at your race.
All right. Thank you. And thanks for having this relaxed platform. This is a lot. I enjoy this.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
very much, Louis. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That's the
Bye-bye.
President of the Board of Aldermen, Louis Reed, y'all. I am telling you, I want you to get out there and vote. I can't tell you who to vote for, but you guys need to get out there and vote. It's very important that you get out there and vote. I've reached out to Tashara. I've reached out to Megan and offer them the same opportunity. But I want you to know this. This election is monumental. It is very important for the direction of the city of St. Louis. You got to get out there and be a part of making changes in this community. You got to get out there and vote, folks. You have to. Please get out there and vote. Vote for whomever you want. I am telling you, you need to get out there and vote. Louis Reed was a man to come on, took some tough questions and answer them. I'm thankful that he did that. And the other candidates were invited to. Hopefully they'll come on. If not, I do understand. The big fella, thank you for watching, and I'll check you guys out. Check me out tomorrow from Detroit. I'll be on from 6 to 8. I'm even mentioning the St. Louis mayor race in Detroit. All right, I'll see you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again. The big fella, I'm out.